Okay, I got some questions about my miter guide, alright? Yeah, alright. This is a miter guide for a Darra James table saw. Unknown whether it was an 8-inch or a 10-inch saw. I'm going to use it on my Delta Unisaw because I don't have a miter guide. However, and I got this one special because it's cast iron. This is all cast iron here. Right there. And it's a regular 3/8 by 3/4 flat bar. I got it on the owwm site, and $30 I think, whatever it was. But I got some questions about it. Here's the funny parts about this miter guide. Well, number one, it's got these little ball detents here. You see, if you look real close where I'm pointing there, maybe you can see it. There's a ball or a bullet shape with a spring behind it, and it goes into these detent stops. There's one of them, and there's the other one right there, and another one. And as you can tell, this thing goes past 45 degrees by a good margin in both directions. But that's not the funny thing. The funny thing is this. When I take this off, I take that off. That's the knob that screws it tight, and the two washers. Now, see that stud? That stud's not centered in the slot. Not only isn't it centered, it's not even close to being centered. And I turn it one way, it's still not centered. Let me see if I can turn it the other way. Yeah, there you go. Still not centered, as you can tell. And another funny thing about it is, apparently, judging by the wear marks in this area, right there where I'm pointing, and the sawdust, see if it'll focus. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, you can see that that stud has been hitting there. So what I want to do, me and my buddy's got a machine shop, I want to remove that stud. If I'm real lucky, I can put a double nut on it and unscrew it. And then we'll have to indicate it in. And I'm not sure how wide that slot is yet, but it looks like it'll easily hold a 3/8 bolt, and it may hold a 7/16. And seeing as I'm an anal retentive, I always like to use oversized. I like my bolts to be as large as possible, especially when the slot looks like it'll accommodate them. Plus I have like, 500 bolts, so, this is an excellent opportunity. And the taps. But what I'm going to have to do is remove that and indicate it into the correct location. Unfortunately, it's dark down there. Let's see, I'll bring it out in the sun for you. I want to indicate it into the correct location. See, you can see in the slot there how it's off center, which is probably a 1/16 of an inch to the left, at least a 1/16 of an inch to the left. Okay, which means I'd have to move it rearward, and seeing as you can't drill a hole like that because of the other hole, assuming I can get the stud out, I'll have to run that in there with an end mill. So it'll probably be in the neighborhood of a 5/16 hole, and it'll leave part of this hole, which is okay. I'll just tap it out, 3/8, whatever it is, national course. And I'm going to make a knob, a big knurled thing, probably maybe 1.5 inch diameter, about 4 inches tall, knurled aluminum with a steel stud in it, or maybe threaded down the center to accommodate the stud that'll be attached to that 3/8 by 3/4 bar. That's not the problem. The problem is getting that thing centered. That in itself is not really a big deal. I can get that centered to height. But here's the funny thing about this miter guide. Let me put it out here in the sunlight a little more for you. Okay, there's the top of the pivot right there. Let's see. Yeah, where I'm pointing. Yeah, right where I'm pointing there. That's the top of the pivot. It's not a screw. And it don't look like a rivet head. I got no clue what it is. And it's below the surface. It could be a roll pin. It could be a tapered roll pin. Although that seems unlikely. And here's the other side. Right there where I'm pointing. And you can tell there's a slight grind mark there. But I really don't know. In order to, the reason I want to get this out too, okay? And change it if I can, or maybe not. But the deal is, here's the thing with this miter guide. We're looking at the face. This is the face that faces the blade. You may not be able to see this in this movie, so here's what I got. You can see the relationship of the miter head to the bar, okay? Now, what I got here is some feeler gauges. I call them feeler gauges. They're really just pieces of paper. But actually, I got 4 pieces of paper. I got a regular piece of 20-pound bond, which slips in there easily, okay? All right? That's 20-pound bond. Here's a piece of brown grocery store bag like you used to be able to get when you went to the grocery store. That goes in easy. Here's a piece of cardboard that came off a real cheap pad. This is thin shit. It doesn't go in there, okay? And here's a piece of what I call, you may not be able to focus on this. Here, if I put it down, maybe it will. I call it micro cardboard, or micro corrugated. See, it's corrugated, but it's super thin shit. It's about a 1/16 of an inch. But in any event, the point is, see that relationship? On the left side, the gap is higher. Okay, now when I swing the miter head over, all right, now it's swung the other way, all the way. Now the right side is higher. And you can see there's a gap in there. Let's see. Let's try it with the paper now, all right? Yeah, all right. Here we go. We're going to stick the paper. Oh, there. The 20-pound bond goes in. No sweat. The corrugated also goes in, although not quite as easy. Not the corrugated, but the brown paper bag goes in. Not quite as easily. And this cheap-ass cardboard, that's the wrong one. This cheap, thin cardboard here, that won't go in. But in any event, the clearances are wrong. So what I don't understand is, if the pivot, that being there, is tight with the bottom of the cast iron head, which it apparently is, but because I cannot see any daylight in there, all right? There's no daylight whatsoever, and I haven't reached in with a feeler gauge. Here's my piece of 2000s paper. Well, that does go in there. What do you know? Well, anyway, so that 2000s piece of paper will go in there at the pivot, but I know those cardboards won't. And you can see daylight on the right side. See the right side there? Where it, let's see, I have to hold it exactly the right angle. There's daylight there.